This is what you'll get. This is what you'll get when you mention. This is what you'll get. This is what you'll get. This is what you'll get when you mention.
Not drinking too much, regular exercise at the gym, 3 days a week, getting on better with your associate employee contemporaries, at ease, eating well, no more microwave dinners and saturated fats, a patient better driver, a safer car, baby smiling in backseat, sleeping well, no bad dreams, no paranoia, careful to all animals, never washing tires down a pothole. Keep in contact with old friends, enjoy a drink now and then. Will frequently check credit, moral, bank, hole in wall, favors for favors, fond but not in love. charity standing orders. On Sundays reading road supermarket. No killing lots or putting boiling water on the hands. Car wash. Also on Sundays. No longer afraid of the dark or midday shadows. Nothing so ridiculously teenage and desperate. Nothing so childish. At a better pace. Slower and more calculated. No chance of escape. Now self-employed. Concerned, but powerless. An empowered and informed member of society. Pragmatism, not idealism. Will not cry in public. Less chance of illness. Tires that grip in a wet, shadow baby strapped in backseat. A good memory. Still cries at a good film. Still kisses with saliva. No longer empty and frantic. Like a cat, tied to a stick. That's good winter. Frozen winter sit. The ability to laugh at weakness. Calm. Fitter. Healthier. And more productive. In a cage. On antibiotics.
backwards George Harrison guitar there. Sounds like something out of off Revolver. Alright, we are 1 minute away from showtime. We'll just catch the beginning of the next song, which I forget. Is it No Surprises? Well, I guess now's a good enough time. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the. Oh, I'm being filmed for an Instagram story, so I'm gonna start that up again and make it sound really spontaneous, super spontaneous. This is not at all contrived. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Lyrics to Go Monday Lyrical live stream for June 28th, 2011, and I'm very excited. This is a first. We're going to listen to an entire album and break it down. Lyrically especially, but with an album like this, you can't help but marvel at the music that holds those lyrics up, and in many cases, I'm sure, inspired the lyrics as well. So thanks for joining me. We're talking Radiohead's OK Computer from 1997, widely acknowledged to be probably the greatest album of the 90s and one of the greatest rock albums of all time. And in some ways, it's kind of the rock album that ended rock albums. Radiohead after this album went in a totally different direction. And it's hard to think of another sort of epic start to finish rock classic since then, although maybe my guests will set me straight on that. Speaking of which, speaking of whom, I have my first guest is here. I'm going to let him into the space. It's live from, I think, Los Angeles, and he can correct me if I'm incorrect about that. He's nodding. It's a fellow lyricist of mine, a colleague in the musical theater world, and a writer, playwright, an all-around smart guy and major Radiohead head. Please welcome Matt Schatz.
Daniel, how are you? Thanks for having me on. This is exciting.
You're welcome, Matt. Oh my God, can you hear that?
Is that, yeah? And do I sound okay? Can you hear me?
You sound great. There's just some mad like drilling going on. It's been quiet for the last half an hour, so I'm hoping that it's just going to be a sporadic thing.
As soon as you try to do something, record something, or broadcast something, of course you're gonna hear noise. It's okay.
Yeah, it's the Jewish version of Murphy's Law.
Murray's Law.
It's Murray's Law. But I mean, yeah, exactly. It's like Murray's Law is whatever can go wrong will go wrong, and everything else will go wrong too, even the things.
And why do you? Yeah, and why do you even bother? Yeah.
And why even bother? Who cares anyway? Yeah. Hello, Asma in the chat. You feel so lucky to find my channel. I feel so lucky you found my channel. It's great. I'm so glad that you're discovering new music through this. If Radiohead is new to you, I think you're really going to enjoy tonight. If they're not, I think you're also going to really enjoy tonight. So Matt, you're in LA?
I am in LA, yes.
A newly reopened LA?
A newly reopened LA, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I had a baby like right at March 2020, so right as the pandemic happened. So going out and doing things with her for the first time, it's going to restaurants and everything has been doubly interesting because we've been our own sort of worldwide pandemic, but also our own mini pandemic. So it's interesting to do it, but it's nice to be back in the world, even in a limited capacity and still mask wearing.
I bet. I mean, for me, COVID actually didn't create too much of a change in my lifestyle. It just meant I had no compulsion to go out and be social. I could just keep to myself. I really enjoyed it. But my mom, who teaches 2-year-olds art, like visual art, said that, when she took her mask off across the room, the kids were amazed that Teacher Ray has a face. And then,
wow.
And then kids were like, all of a sudden allowed to play with each other a few weeks ago. And some of these kids they've grown from babies to toddlers during this era when there's been almost no socialization. They took their masks off and they just stared at each other like amazed and joyful
at
this a peer,
it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I think probably like you, I kind of took to it in a way, and thank God no one got very sick or anything. But now that we're sort of opening up, there's the anxiety comes rolling in. But usually, if I force myself to go out and do something, then I'm usually grateful for it. But I was fine to sort of be in my house and play guitar and all that stuff. But I'm welcoming the world, and of course theater, what we do, really, it's nice. It'll be nice to go see that and maybe even get some of that stuff of ours done. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whenever I talk to theaters now about projects, you had a baby in March. I was about to have a baby. My world premiere musical was opening in Issaquah, Washington on March 13th, on March 12th.
Yeah. Right. Wow.
Closed the same night,
Yeah.
So, but now,
yeah,
whenever I talk to anyone in the theater world, it's like, yeah, absolutely. In 23, 24, we should be able to slot in a reading,
Yeah. No, I had a thing. It was supposed to open in October in Geffen out here, and I think I'm still going to do it, but I think 23 or something. It's a lot of things. But listen, it'll be good. It'll be fine.
Yeah, and it gave me a chance to finally start this channel, which I've been pregnant with for years, and
I've been enjoying it. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thanks, and it's great to have you. I don't know. Have you and I ever had?
I don't think we've never had. I think we got to know each other virtually. And where are you? Are you in Canada, or where are you?
I'm actually living in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico. I've been
here
since the beginning of the year. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Yes. So still a different country, but just another different country. I don't think we. I think I guess we had the Cleveland thing in common, and again, obviously many friends in common, and
that's a fancy writing award that we both won. that changed absolutely nothing about my career.
It was nice to
it was a nice feeling. I got to meet Sheldon Harnick, and
that was that
for an evening.
It's great, and just maybe not have to work a day job for a couple years, and then it's always nice. Yeah. But no, I don't think. But I've been a fan of yours and a fan of your stuff, and also I've been really enjoying the lyrics to go. I think we both are hip hop fans, and it's just and have a lot of sort of intersecting interests, and the stuff that I was not as familiar to me has been even more interesting to see, because it's getting your perspective on that on I'm not a big metal guy, and you are, and so that's been really interesting to get that perspective too.
Excellent.
Yeah,
I'm so glad to hear it. Thank you. We have our third guest in the house, and there's no reason not to let her on in, and we can, because I want to ask you guys an introductory question about OK Computer and Radiohead in general. So it's a perfect time to welcome an old friend of mine. She's not that old. She's the same age as me, or maybe a year younger than me, but we have the same birthday is the point. And we once did a birthday show together. I haven't seen her in a good number of years, ever since I moved away from New York, but she's a marvelously talented actor and singer who has some concerts coming up as New York reopens. She's one of the first to get back on stage, and she'll tell us about that. Please welcome Farah Alvin. There you are.
Hello.
Hey, Farah.
How are you? I feel like my face is really big. I don't know. Really?
It's all a matter of perspective, literally. How are you? How are things?
I'm all right. How are you? Where are you?
Do you guys know each other?
I know who you are.
Yes, yeah. I've heard your name, and yes, but nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. You're obviously in your own room, Matt.
Yes. But I love trees, and this is my crib. Exactly. Yes. How'd you know?
Nice color palette. Yeah. So to answer your question, Farah, I'm in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico. I moved here kind of indefinitely at the start of the year. My girlfriend lives in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. I was living in Victoria, BC. This was the closest place we could literally be in the same room with the border closures between our countries.
Wow.
Amazing.
So, yeah, but it's been a nice move. So, yeah, are you enjoying the reopening?
Yeah, it's surreal, because we all kind of locked down at roughly the same time of year that we're coming back out. So it just feels like a sort of deleted scene. Like it almost, you sort of, kids are the weirdest thing, because you'll see someone's child is 7 inches taller or whatever, and you go, what? How'd that happen? Or someone's baby is no longer a baby, they're like a toddler, a kid. But everything else feels sort of exactly the same, as though it never happened. So it's tempting, I think, to believe that it never happened.
It reminds me of a Star Trek: The Next Generation episode where they all fall asleep and get amnesia, but they wake up, and one of them has an arm injury, and another one's botany experiment has grown for 20, and they're like, wait a minute, were we awake during this time? But they can't remember it.
Clearly, something has happened.
Yeah.
But it is also really nice. I did my first in-person concert. Well, actually, the first in-person concert I did, I was behind a pane of glass, which was very odd.
What?
Yeah. There were some.
That's a whole other genre.
That is a whole other genre. Yeah, I was fully clothed, but I was behind a pane of glass. No, it was really interesting because in order to not, it was in April, and in order to not be in violation of any of the distancing rules or the crowd rules, it had to be kind of a pop-up. So we couldn't tell anybody it was happening until the day of or the day before. And the audience had to just sort of wander up and hear you. And that was very strange, but it was great to see people's eyes and sort of, have an authentic audience response. And then I just did my first in-person show at a club at the Green Room 42. And that was, people were eating food and not wearing masks. And it was really like ripping off the Band-Aid. It was like, here we go, we're right back in it. So and, scary and emotional.
Yeah.
All of that.
Guys, let me know if my internet starts to get wonky, and if it does it too much, I'm going to switch locations, and I'll do that during a song so that it's not incredibly awkward. Wow. Well, yeah, I mean, things here in San Miguel, I don't know what this town is like without COVID. I gather that it's a pretty hoppin' cultural hub, and so you're starting to see some music coming back. But it's it's been a beautiful place to be, and now I'm trying to get vaccinated as a tourist so that I can go back to Canada without having to like hide in a hotel for 6 months or whatever their draconian laws are. And there's a fourth variant, and it's like 40 degrees Celsius in Vancouver today, like 108 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hotter than has ever been recorded in the states of New York or Florida. This is in Portland. It was 112. Can you believe it?
Wow.
So it's madness all around. It's the rainy season here. I'm looking at a cool gray day. So whatever.
Weird.
Nutty time. So let's talk OK Computer. Okay, Kate, I'm looking in the chat. You used to go to San Miguel Allende for winters, and then you got married and you stopped drifting. Hey, I think the ideal thing is you get married and you keep drifting. That would be my ideal. So let's talk OK Computer. Matt, what's your background with this band and this album in particular? When did you first become cognizant of this piece of work?
Yeah, I think so. I was a Radiohead fan. I think mostly after the Bends, though I was aware of the first album with the, with Creep and everything. But I saw, I changed high schools in 1995, and I made a group of friends that were sort of like hip and knew good music, and I ended up seeing Radiohead in Philadelphia on the Bends tour twice, and in pretty small venues, which is really cool.
So you're from Philly?
I'm from South Jersey, right outside of Philly. So
and Farah, you're from
Los Angeles,
California. Yeah. Okay. So you guys have done an exchange program.
We flipped. Yes. We've switched places. But yeah, and then I remember being very excited about it coming out, and it was one of the albums. I mean, I think really one of the only albums that I remember buying very specifically and taking to a friend's house and a group of friends and listening for the first time and just really feeling like I'm reading this book about biography of Dylan, and they're talking about the first time people have heard things, and I don't really feel like a lot of albums meant that to me, like hearing Freewheelin' for the first time, but certainly OK Computer, I remember listening to it for the first time, how I felt talking about Karma Police and thinking of and so it made a big impact on me. I saw them on the OK Computer tour, and we waited outside and met them and talked to Johnny Greenwood and Thom Yorke, and Tom, I was really shy, but Thom Yorke stopped and started, shook my hand, and I, he's like, few people were shorter than me, but he's one, and it just charming guy.
To be more shy than Thom Yorke. That's
no, I know. I think I have a friend who was really talking and asking questions, and I would just I had nothing to say to anybody, but he looked at me, he's like, "Hello, sir," with his so I just have nothing but and I think you sort of touched on what after this album they changed, and I sort of came around after a while, but I really like the Bends and this album really are just such tent poles in my life that it was hard for me to sort of get into some of the stuff they did later on, and so I still go back and listen to this album, and I just think it's great. I listened to it this morning while I took my baby for a walk and to refresh for this. It was great to hear.
Wonderful, awesome. I'd be interested to hear what your baby's first response is to it when you play it off the headphones.
Me too.
Farah, how about you? And Farah and I have a particular history with this album, which we'll get to midway through the album. But what's your Radiohead story?
Well, I kind of Pablo Honey came out when I was in high school, and I don't know if I thought it was too cool for it, or I don't know. I just sort of I thought Creep was a cool song, and I just didn't sort of bother to listen to anything else, to be frank. And then my friend Sergio made me this mixtape that was a bunch of tunes from the Bends and a bunch of live stuff they'd done on like KCRW in LA and various radio stations and stuff. I have no idea even how he got that. He probably taped it off the radio. It was just that end of that kind of technology. And I remember walking around. I was living in New York at the time. My parents were still living in California, and I would go for these long walks and listen to this mixtape. And I was like, holy shit, like what is this? Like, interestingly too, like, especially like lyrically, where I was like, there aren't rock bands that are this poetic, and the changes were so beautiful. And so I really, like, for me, that's what like locked me in also to the Bends, where I was like, this is the album. Like it was to me, in a similar way to what you're saying, Matt, like for me, like Smells Like Teen Spirit is the definitive Gen X album. Like we all know where we were when we heard Nirvana for the first time, and our brains kind of like exploded. Anybody who liked rock music, who was like dying and being forced to listen to like New Kids on the Block and whatever, like when that album came out and we heard that band and that sound and that Seattle sound, everything was like, whoa. And so this to me feels like this sort of the tail end of that era when you were still kind of, for me, it's also like my high school and college years where I have a lot of nostalgia about hearing this music for the first time. So it reminds me of this very specific place and time. And I remember being very psyched about OK Computer coming out, and everyone being like, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Paranoid Android was their first release off this album.
Yeah. That was a single.
6.5 minute single.
Yeah, this super long tune with these time changes, and everyone, like, I remember MTV being like, no one has ever released a first single like this. Being, like, so excited about like the weirdness of it, and then really like being like, this is like it was soaking it up the second that it came out, like running to go get the CD and listening to it.
I feel like most of the chords in Paranoid Android have never appeared in a rock song before. Like there's nothing like that chord progression.
No,
there's just absolutely nothing like it. It was unprecedented when I heard it.
Yeah, agreed. And so I remember like being like, well, this is
chords.
the cookie, that you're dangling. I was very, very excited. And really loving the album. And I feel, again, Matt, you could have taken the words right out of my mouth. Like, I listened to Kid A, and I kind of didn't listen to it anymore. And then I kind of, I don't want to say I fell out of love with the band, because I still think that they're amazing, incredible musicians, and I absolutely respect the evolution. But I definitely identify with like those two albums with the Bends, and then like I felt like OK Computer was like the promise that delivered from what was suggested with the Bends.
Totally.
Yeah. I think I'm more of a Kid A fan than the two of you are, but I did have to get over some disappointment. But it felt like they were giving me my vegetables, because like they recognized that they had reached, I mean, I've heard them say this, that they reached the top and they didn't want to try and do OK Computer Part 2. And they were getting into more technology, and there's some real beauty to be found on that album. I like it better than Amnesiac. And then they've done some stuff since then that is more reminiscent of their earlier stuff. For me, so I was living in Israel for the year when Creep came out. It was the year after high school for me. And so I was totally out of touch with what was going on in popular music back in North America. When Kurt Cobain killed himself, I sort of lost all interest in, and that was that year, in popular music, and I got very jaded about it. And then we were in Poland on like, one of these Holocaust education trips, and we were at the hotel watching MTV Europe and like catching up. And Soundgarden's album Super Unknown had just come out, and I was a huge fan of theirs, and I really loved that. But like they had been around for a while, and In Utero had just come out. But like there was this new kind of music on MTV, like Beck, Loser, and I wasn't into it at first. I love Beck now, but I was like, what the fuck is this novelty shit? Like, I'm a loser, baby. Like all these non sequitur rhymes, like slacker Beastie Boys, basically. Like, what's going on in music? And then Creep came on, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be super popular, and it's like not that, like it's riding on a swear word, basically. Like it's like, and so I was just like, ugh, but meanwhile I grouped Radiohead in with these new bands like Blur and The Verve and Oasis and all that. Now, Blur actually is very distinctive. The Verve.
You're a little choppy, Daniel.
Yeah.
Go out.
No, he's gone.
And we lost you for a bit.
Yeah, you broke up, and then yeah. Oh no.
I hear you a little.
All right. So yeah, it's like lumping. I couldn't quite tell the difference between all these Brit invasion bands. Is it shitty? I'm gonna have to move.
I think so.
Yeah. If you can, yeah.
Okay.
Do what you want to do.
All right. Well, then let's kick things off with the first song, and I'll come back to my story so that I can pick up and move, with dignity. So let me see if I can get an Airbag video that has the lyrics. I think a lot of these songs will have lyric videos. Aha, excellent. All right. So we're kicking things off with the opening track, Airbag, which what's interesting about it is that the drums are chopped up. It's not, he played like a drum loop. Oh, shoot. I'll say it afterwards. Let me just play it. Technical difficulties. All right. Here we go.
Are you is it frozen for you, Matt?
Yes, it's right. Yeah.
Alas.
No.
Joys of technology.
It's a good lyric to be frozen on. It's
again. My son is having a very animated phone conversation about Pokemon, so I just closed the door. Daniel, he's gone.
Oh. And now are we? And now we're
Are we
just,
live?
people
No,
are
we're on the
seeing us
internet.
live. Yeah, we're just talking on the internet. Good. Well,
Okay. Well,
good.
it's good. It's good to be a guest on a show. No.
It's the anarchy of having a. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you the same age as us, Matt?
I don't know. I don't know how old you are.
I'm 44 and Daniel's 45.
Yeah, I'm 43 though. I think that I graduated high school in 1997, so I was like a senior in high school when this came out. But yeah, I mean all the general in the general age,
Yeah.
in the Gen X.
Hi, did you guys lose the music?
We
We lost the
everything.
music.
I'm so glad that you guys didn't get booted off.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
here just at
You-
sea,
You were holding it down. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
we're
All right.
brilliantly. Yeah.
All right, how far into the song do we get? Should we restart?
We did
Sure.
not get far in.
Yeah,
Okay.
just
Okay.
like the first "I am born again," I think line.
All right. So then I'll just finish my little Radiohead story. I'm now wired, plugged into the internet, so it should work.
Yeah, you look great.
Thank you. Yeah, so I was grouping them in with all these groups, and now, of course, I can distinguish the shitty ones from the good ones. Like, I don't have to say it more. And then I don't know if I paid attention during the bands. It might be that OK Computer's what had me go back. My roommate Jason, when I was living in Vancouver after McGill, like 98, 99, turned me on to the bands. But yeah, when I heard this album, I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. And I think Paranoid Android was like the first. And I remember listening to the album as I drove up from Vancouver to Whistler to go skiing. And every song, it's like, it's rare that you hear an album this cohesive. And it's not a concept album, but it's like coming from a musical and emotional concept somehow.
It feels like an album. I was thinking that as I re-listened prior to this. I was like, this really feels like an album. Like,
yeah,
these songs all belong together.
They really, really do. And I'll read, from the Wikipedia page in terms of what Thom Yorke was saying about the album as we go along. But let's go back and listen to Airbag. And yeah, so just the lyrics to this song, they really set off the tone of the album. I think one of the themes on the album that I take from it is a kind of desperate grandiosity, like delusions of grandeur that cover up a deep insecurity. And what's interesting about that is that who Radiohead named their band after, or what they named their band after, right?
I don't know.
A Talking Heads song called Radiohead.
Oh.
2 words, off the True Stories soundtrack, and which was that weird film they made in '85. And Talking Heads I did a live stream about them 2 weeks ago, and Talking Heads had a lot of songs that were similarly paranoid, misanthropic, but sometimes kind of manic in terms of like, I'm awesome, I'm gonna like overcome, but a serious distrust of everyone else. So like everything is alienated, and I feel like that's one of the themes that runs throughout this entire album, and you can hear it in the lyrics, and we'll see as we go. And if you want to comment while we're listening, please do, and that'll also probably help us evade the copyright karma police. Although I've had pretty good luck with them so far. My videos get demonetized, but they don't get booted off the internet.
That's good.
All right, share internet. Here we go. So I was saying before I got rudely interrupted is that the drums on this song, what's the drummer's name? Phil Selway. They took a real drum loop he did, and then they chopped it up and they programmed it. And guess who their biggest influence was? Who they were trying to sound like in programming it? It was DJ Shadow.
Mm.
They were super into him, and you can hear it in terms of like from his debut album, which came out in '96. It's got that. It's musique construite. It's like it's built, but with a live loop.
That's cool.
sounds like there's a cello behind doubling the electric guitar. Jackknife juggernaut is like a kind of flight maneuver or something, and then a crash. That grandiosity, right? I'm back to save the universe. And this kind of faith in technology too, like in a neon sign, I'm born again. What's that, Farrah? Do you have a mic you can turn up a little louder? Or should I turn the music down a bit?
Let me see if I can.
I never knew this was what he was saying. I've never read the lyrics.
I didn't know that. I didn't know of the innocent.
What's up, Steven? In a fast German car. Again, this like gratitude for inventions. Which also, there was a song that came out in the same year, I think, or maybe it was, by Bjork, where she talks about the modern things. That came out the year before, where she's like, it's like an ode to all this technology, you know. It's a little more quirky and whimsical than this, but it was in the air, right? The internet was just getting going. This is the age of dial-up modems. This is the long distance call. Kate says that faith in technology is something that Thomas Merton, the monk, the Trappist monk, wrote about in the 50s and 60s. Interesting. As a replacement for faith in God or faith in spirit. Again, the sound of this, the major minorness of it, musically speaking, you know, it's so bright, but then when it goes to the floor, it's the minor four. Creep, this is not. Right, so I'll turn the volume down a little bit so we can just talk over the outro. Anything jump out at either of you in the lyrics?
That's a great first album line, you know, in the next World War. What is it? In the next World War.
A jackknife juggernaut.
Yeah. I am a jackknife juggernaut. I am born again. I mean, it's a good opening number. You know, it sort of gives you a sense of something.
Well, the band is born again.
They're funny. The lyrics are funny, right? They're really dark.
Yeah.
And funny.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were talking about that sort of faith in technology and the deification of technology and the magic of technology, right? And then by the time we get to the midpoint of the album, which is Fitter Happier, right? As it starts to just sort of tank for you, right? The darkness of it becomes so much more apparent. I think throughout, right? The concept of karma police is sort of all of it, that there's that our life is improved by the modern world, and it's not, right? That we're all still sort of empty and alone and sad. It sort of like starts you off on this like, isn't it great kind of
Yeah.
Airbag saved my life, magic.
Right, exactly. It's almost like it captures the spirit of the times. It's like you want to get into a car crash so you can feel what it's like to have your life saved by this miraculous invention. Like there's something glorious about, almost transcendent about, it's like a rite of passage to.
There's a very dark, they're all dark, but there's a very dark Chuck Palahniuk novel from about this era, also called Rant, it's about trying to time travel by crashing your car. So
really,
yeah, like that you have this space-time continuum that you can break by crashing your car hard enough. So it's this was a very, we were dark. And lived in darkness.
Well, it's strange because so coming after the grunge stuff, and then there was this sort of like you talked a little bit about Beck, and I was I love Beck, and I especially that when Odelay came out, that was another.
By the time, me too. I got on board.
But it's so, I mean, that they're both sort of like you did this sort of funny, but it's like it's much. Like Beck is sort of funny, but sort of silly and sort of pop culture. It has this sort of these references, and it's like but this is sort of like fun. It's almost. I mean, they're both ironic, but they're like, but they're. This is like very dark, and it is. I mean, it definitely like fed the remaining angst I had. I was late in high school, but I was a big angsty teenager, and this definitely like. Because it both feeds your angst, but also you're sort of commenting on it, so it's like ironic angst. So it almost like it almost felt right. It felt it's that coming, because like just like coming, like I think we're Gen X, but we're maybe sort of on the young side of Gen X maybe. So
Yes.
It's like we were a little young when with the Nirvana stuff, or maybe just the right age, but we're sort of becoming adults when this stuff comes out. So we were
being tutored by the Gen Xers in Say Anything. Like we were like 5 or 6 years younger than that, and like but we were getting our sensibility from it, but we were young enough to also like learn the internet before we were 20. Like it's an interesting in between. Mm-hmm. It feels like tragic irony in this album, but not without comedy. Like Beck can sometimes be a little bit wistful, especially on his acoustic stuff. Right. This is a little bit funny.
Well, it's the British, it's got that bite. It's like they're not, Beck's from California.
That's right.
So he's a Scientologist. He's it's all going to be okay, really, for Beck. But these guys, they think that they're British. It's otherwise. They were, their parents were bombed. Probably in the war. So they're growing up with a different vibe.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Let me read. This is what Wikipedia says about Airbag. It's got a detailed breakdown of the entire album. The opening track, Airbag, is underpinned by a beat built from a seconds-long recording of Selway's drumming. The band sampled the drum track with a sampler and edited it with a Macintosh computer inspired by the music of DJ Shadow, but admitted to making approximations in emulating Shadow's style due to their programming inexperience. Well, sometimes inexperience is your friend. Mm-hmm. The bass line stops and starts unexpectedly. I remember noticing that right away when I first heard it, achieving an effect similar to the 1970s dub. That's an interesting comparison. The song's references to automobile accidents and reincarnation were inspired by a magazine article titled "An Airbag Saved My Life" and the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Yorke wrote Airbag about the illusion of safety offered by modern transit and, quote, the idea that whenever you go out on the road, you could be killed. The BBC wrote of the influence of J.G. Ballard, especially in his 1973 novel Crash, on the lyrics. And then music journalist Tim Footman noted that I guess Tim Footman, his ancestors were not aristocrats, noted that the song's technical innovations and lyrical concerns demonstrated the key paradox of the album. Quote, the musicians and producer are delighting in the sonic possibilities of modern technology. The singer, meanwhile, is railing against its social, moral, and psychological impact. It's a contradiction mirrored in the culture clash of the music, with the real guitars negotiating an uneasy standoff with the hacked-up, processed drums.
All right, Footman. Yeah.
You go, Footman.
I agree.
All right, so let's go to the second song, which, I mean, they're not afraid to. I mean, there's a risk of peaking early with a song like this, but my goodness. Yeah, and apparently this song, Thom Yorke wrote it. You wouldn't think. The song was written by Yorke after an unpleasant night at a Los Angeles bar where he saw a woman react violently after someone spilled a drink on her.
Huh.
So there is this kind of haughty, you know, indignant superiority to the lyrics. Whoops, sorry. These chords.
Crazy.
Like diminished or something. What a melody. Where do you come up with that? These breaks. You know what it's like when you have chicken fetuses like squawking in your head. You can't get to sleep. It's annoying. Oh my God!
I never knew what the robot was saying there. I never knew that. Yeah.
I was 10 years old when I learned that.
What's that?
I was today years old when I learned that that's what.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
There's the title.
I looked at the lyrics today. I saw that. I didn't know that. Didn't know that's what.
And it's the Mac voice. It's the same voice as Fitter Happier.
When I am king, you will be fast against the wall. With your opinion, which is of no consequence at all.
Some more grandiosity, more. It's getting violent too. You talking to me? Are you talking to me? Are you fucking talking to me? This is the greatest riff of all time. This riff. This rocks harder than. This rocks as hard as any grunge riff. And then 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
Ambition makes you look pretty ugly. Kick and screaming goose little piggy.
I'm obsessed with the riff, the guitar that comes in a second on the and of one. Obsessed. Just wait for it.
Hold on, let's go. Or it hasn't happened yet?
Hasn't happened yet.
Okay. That bass line.
You don't remember. You remember my name. I'm gonna say that I feel as
I guess you must be fucking talking to me, because I'm the only guy here. You could just end the song here and you would have written a classic. This is like Paco Bell's Canon on mescaline or something.
This transition feels very like beautifully, like where they would just be like. I'm sorry, I don't know why you can't hear me when the thing is on. This
Yeah.
transition feels Beatlesy to me, where
Yeah.
they
Sure.
like, let's just blow up the form, just change it, you know.
100%. Yeah. It's almost like another member of the group had an idea that was a
Yes.
separate song.
Yeah.
They put it together, you know? And again, it's such a musically sophisticated chord progression. Here's a dominant that goes to a totally different resolution. I know this isn't music theory to go, but I can't resist. It's very beautiful. You wouldn't think lyrics about panic and vomit are coming in a second. Hey, folks in the chat, when did you first hear this album? And if you're first hearing it now, what do you think? You know, it's amazing. I was watching the concert version. Thom Yorke plays guitar on all these songs. This guy plays.
Yes.
That's it, sir. You're leaving. The crackle of pigskin. The dust and the screaming. That's what he's saying?
You don't know that one?
The yuppies networking? No. Oh, Steven, to be 10 years old and hear this album? What album came out when I was 10? 1985? Like Dancing on the Ceiling or something. LimeWire. Are you guys listening on headphones? Oh God. It's so good on headphones. Wow.
It's so good.
What a song.
This is a cool ass song, man.
It is. It's scary.
Right.
It's vengeful. It's, you know, that grandiosity. But it's not campy. Like it's fully in character.
No, it actually gives kind of like a non-campy, like those, like the, I don't know, it's throwing back for me like to like some of the early like metal bands, you know, like I don't know, it's giving me
Sabbath?
like yeah, Sabbath, and yeah, like Sabbath, which was like so dark at the time, right? And then it sort of became a little campy.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm blanking on the other band I'm thinking of, but even like the more like later 80s stuff, I'm thinking of like
Metallica.
You know, Metallica and Pantera and those bands
Yeah.
where they were playing a lot with like form and structure, and they were great musicians, but they were so dark. I don't know. There's something, it's almost charactery. I don't know.
Well,
like, you know,
they find the poignancy. They find the poignancy in the hostility.
Right.
Because you can feel the emotional desperation underneath it.
the sadness.
It's so sad. It's so sad. And I always say that mixed feelings, mixed emotions are what get me in songwriting and
art, right? In
and
any
art, like, you know, and in musical theater, which all three of us are involved in, you know, like, and one of the things that I can't stand in musical theater, or that alienates me, at least, not that I can't stand it, it's fine, you know, do what you like. People should do what they want, but like, but when musical theater is just trying to like push one emotion at a time, like here's a very, very, very happy song, or a very, 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 like, to me, that's not dramatic. That's
right.
that's like congregational or something. Like
it's great when there's, I mean, it's great, and it's also great when there's, when there's tension between the lyric and the music, and you're feeling like either a happy lyric with sad, the stupid example is happy lyric and sad music or something. But yeah, this is like a song too. This is in the I am song slot in the this is in the musical theater version of this. This is the
oh wow.
This is probably there, maybe song 3, but we introduced the paranoid android. This is what he wants is I don't know, is
world domination.
he wants
actually the
autocracy.
The crackle of skin. Yeah.
If we wanted an I want song, the next song would be a good candidate.
Oh, that's right. Probably song 3 could be
an I wish
it's
song.
an I wish song.
And I've always made a distinction between those two, and I always prefer I wish songs. Like my song All I Want it's actually a wish song because it's totally impotent. Like it's not like one of these like at the start of the show I'm not throwing away my shot, and like by the end of the show he's going to achieve his dreams, but then whatever. It's like it's the poignancy of like going on a mental fantasy of getting what you want, but you can feel the stuckness. And to me, like it's less heroic, but it's more true to life in my experience.
Well, like you said, we the time the age when we came of age, we had a lot, it's that the angst and the irony of it all was, it's
well, not to get like too heavy about that stuff, but I have this argument with my baby boomer mother and my baby boomer aunt all the time, and my baby boomer in-laws, that we were fully aware of the dead end that we were looking at. Like at this age, when I was like 15 years old, I was like, wait, there won't be Social Security when I'm old. Wait, I'll never be able to own a home. What? I talk a lot about like people of our,
because people ascribe that to millennials. People are like, millennials are the first generation that can't expect
I think we knew, because everybody forgets about Gen X. That's why. Because we were forgotten about when we were kids, and we're forgotten about now. Like we are a whole sandwich generation between millennials who like they got a shit sandwich, but they also were told they weren't. Like we were told, here kid, here is your shit sandwich. Do what you will with it. Like, you know what I mean? I think like millennials kind of got this, like, you can be anything that you want. And then they're like, wait, hold up, I can't. But I really feel like latchkey kids, we were the first generation, we're at the tail end, but the first generation of kids that grew up with divorced parents, that grew up with single parenthood. My friends were microwaving their dinners at age 10 by themselves. We just had this sort of like our reality, and not that it was horrible, but there were some realities that were very real, I think. And the first Gulf War, all of that nonsense,
and culturally at the same time, like to go with the shit sandwich, we had an amazing side dish, which was 1980s music, movies,
and even the 80s culture of like like Gordon Gekko,
Right.
Well, there was that
social climby, get all the money you can and then die. So we didn't fall into that.
There was that, but what I'm saying is that at the same time, because I'm pitying the millennials here, because
yes, I feel for them.
Because we grew up in an era where every subculture you can imagine was busting into the mainstream and creating hybrids and new genres. Like think of New Wave. Think of like how unprecedented Joy Division was, or even the Police and the Dead Kennedys and Suicidal Tendencies and Talking Heads and the B-52s and REM and then hip hop. I mean, fucking Jesus! Like we grew up in the era where hip hop was invented, or it was invented in the 70s, but it became itself. We were witnessing culture that was capable of responding to the madness of the world before it got absorbed by it, which happened around the time that Kurt Cobain put that bullet in his fucking brain. And then really the millennials grew up, like the people slightly younger than us were growing up listening to like Smash
Backstreet
Mouth.
Boys. Yeah.
But also like think about the rock world after, like there was the ironic Beck stuff, but like these corporate bands, Goo Goo Dolls and like, Counting Crows, and maybe these you can like these bands or whatever, but like it was different. They were made by the record companies as opposed to like bought up by the record company. So and then so when Radiohead came along with this album, it felt like a redemption in some ways, because it came in the middle of a whole bunch of real garbage in rock, at least I think.
I wonder what else came out in 1997. I will look it up while we listen to Subterranean Homesick Alien.
Now I got to make sure I click in Alien, not Blues, because if you play Bob Dylan, you get your computer explodes. I honestly, I've gotten I can't. I have to. I'm doing a whole lyrical primer series on Lyrics to Go about Dylan, and I have to use cover versions because Bob Dylan, Jay-Z, Tina Turner.
I've heard this.
And Jewel are the four artists that get my videos. Because Jewel is such a hugely significant artist.
Yeah.
Just when I'd begun to let her into my heart.
Yeah, you had to. Your video on hands was taken down because analyzing my hands are small. I know.
How many times can you use the word hands? Exactly the same way.
I kind of like
it's
feel bad.
It's true. I was never crazy enough to take my jacket off and stand in the rain. I was never crazy like that. It's so crazy. No, it's the height of eccentricity. All right.
For faux show.
Another chord progression that comes out of outer space.
Outer space. Literally.
So, Kate, what do you think? This is your first time hearing it? What are your impressions?
Keep forgetting the smell of the warm summer air. I live in a town where you can't smell a thing. You watch your feet for cracks in the pavement.
Makes you think of like Slough or something, one of these British towns.
Up above, aliens hover.
Making home movies for the folks back home.
For the folks back home. All these weird creatures who lock up their spirits.
That's us. He's talking about us. All these weird creatures who lock up their spirits, drill holes in themselves, and live for their secrets. Wow. Uptight.
Can you hear me any better now that I have this thing on, or no?
Fantastic and well.
Oh, great. Just as songwriters, don't you love uptight, 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 over and over? Like, isn't it such a great use of repetition?
It sure is.
I wish that they swoop down.
I don't often have the nerve to just repeat words, It takes some nerve.
Take me on board their beautiful ship. Show me the world as I love to see it.
Give me an anal probe, then drop me down in a cow field.
I tell all my friends, but they never believe me. They think
Harmony in the guitar.
lost it completely.
What's so cool here is like the fantasy extends to what would happen when he would get home. Like he's wishing to be abducted by the aliens with whom he would feel more at home than he does in his, odorless town. And then he's like, and then I would come and I would tell all my friends, but they wouldn't believe me. They'd think that I'd finally lost it completely. Like thinking it through, like what status it would give him. And like the alienation is so built into it. Like he's already on the outs on the other side of this abduction.
And since you stopped here, I want to say, I'm such a big rhyme guy, and this album is like there's like no rhymes in this album, but completely and
Believe me,
completely, which is rhyme, but that pricks that is so satisfying because nothing else really has even like an assonance rhyme or whatever it is, and so getting that it really like fuels, it's like a shot of adrenaline or something to me. It's like this tension and it's a little bit of a release.
It's relieved. And there's also, I just yelled it, the harmony, the guitar line harmonizes with the vocal on that. Lost it completely. It's just that coast over the top. It feels like this, like that feels like satisfying on the words lost it completely.
Right. Yes.
Well, I've talked on Lyrics to Go before. I've talked in a hip hop episode, I think, and definitely on the Bob Dylan episodes about when not to rhyme, and how in a field of non-rhymes, a rhyme can be so satisfying. Non-rhyming as a tension builder is a highly underrated device, I think.
But it's so hard. It's so hard for me. I can't. It's like it really. It means discipline when I'm writing. Like I got to. It's just because rhymes are just they just come up, and I got to. But that's why And I don't think I never thought about how this album's so good. I never thought about how most, like in Karma Police, there's not a single rhyme. I never thought about it. It felt right. So I think that says a lot about the craft.
You're right. Well, so let's keep our eyes out for more rhymes. Let's see how many rhymes we can find in the album.
Okay. Yeah.
And near rhymes count. We're not. No.
I know. We're not.
We're not at BMI or this is not musical theater.
Yes. We will grant them dispensation for their.
Absolutely. It's pop music.
Yeah.
Show them the stars.
Show them the stars and the meaning of life.
Show me away. But I'd be all.
I think he'd kind of like that. I think he'd like it if they shut him away. All right, uptight. Boom. He's setting up a rhyme. He's repeating all right, all right, all right. I'm just.
I don't hear that, but.
You don't? All right, upside.
No, I don't hear that. I'm just. I don't hear that pickup there.
Oh, it's there. And interesting, he starts the song by saying all these humans are uptight. And now he's admitting that I'm not so relaxed myself. Thanks, Kate. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Anyone who's watching who hasn't subscribed to Lyrics to Go, please do. Click the subscribe button. Click the bell so you get notified. Oh, and Farah and Matt, would you mind sharing the Facebook link for this?
Yeah.
For this stream? Okay, let me get. I'm gonna
show me how to do
DM it.
that.
I'll DM it to you.
Okay, great.
Whoop. Let me stop.
We can listen in rainbows from.
Oh, that's an older. Oh, there's some echo. Oh, I know why. Because I'm listening to. Hold on. Jesus. Stop. Stop, goddammit.
The swearing, Daniel.
Yes, indeed. You're damn right. It's my channel and I curse how I want to. You would curse too if you had to deal with this fucking computer.
Probably.
Yeah. All right. Matt, I'm messaging you this, and
okay.
I'll do the same once we start the next song. All right. So that is Subterranean Homesick Alien. Next up is Let Down, I believe. number 4. And what does Wikipedia say about this? Is an absolutely beautiful song. Now, I remember back at NYU, my classmate, Eric Day.
Very talented.
Very, very talented guy. We had a music assignment to bring in some piece of recorded music that we thought was musically interesting and just kind of break it down. And he brought in this song, and what he pointed out was that the guitar, Johnny Greenwood, is playing in a totally different time signature than the rest of the band.
Oh, wow.
Like
Daniel,
it sounds kind of...
I'm sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt you. I thought exit music was next.
Oh, God damn it, you're right. You're so right. Thank you.
I mean, I knew
Now,
you were going to
exit-
be like, I'm mad that I skipped exit music.
Well, you know why. They wrote this song for the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack.
Oh, really?
And it's in it.
was-
I mean, it's the last song, right? I mean, it's in it, right? It does.
It is, but they requested that it not be on the soundtrack, but it is the
Interesting.
it is
Oh,
the
that-
exit
well,
music
that makes
for
sense.
that film. Yeah, so this is a pretty theatrical, dramatic song. This is, I mean, talk about build. I thought that One by Metallica had a build to it. It does, but this is up there with it, I think. Can you hear that? You hear the music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Farrah, I'm going to send you this link.
Wake from your sleep, the drying of your tears. Today
Oh, it's in the same key as One. It's in B minor.
we
Oh.
escape. We escape. Pack and get dressed before your father hears us, before all hell breaks loose.
I guess you can hear the Romeo and Juliet in that
Yeah, for sure.
line, you know, before your father
Yeah.
hears us.
Breathe,
Synthesized choir.
keep breathing. Don't
Lose your nerve.
lose your nerve. Breathe, keep breathing.
Now you can imagine, I think, a lesser band actually hiring a big choir. I mean, they were in England. They could have gotten a big church choir to sing this, and it would have been all grand
I feel like
and
the
ostentatious.
robot, but I feel like the robot choir is like exactly
It's
the right.
Absolutely.
It's okay computer, not okay church.
Yeah.
Mormon
that's right.
Tabernacle.
Yeah, exactly.
As a song to keep us warm. Yeah. Such a chill.
No rhymes.
I didn't know that. That was such a chill. I didn't know that.
Yeah, neither did I.
That's such a ch.
Oh, good.
Wow.
What was the line before Spineless Laugh? Sorry.
You can laugh.
You can laugh.
Right.
choke, that you choke. We hope that you choke.
Who do you suppose he's singing to?
That you choke.
Who's singing to whom? It's a mysterious lyric. So, Farah, I'm devastated to say that I don't find our version of this on YouTube.
I don't think we have it up on YouTube. I think I had like a weird moment of being like, I don't like my voice on that, and then, but I'm mad. So if you find it, if it's in an archive, will you put it up somewhere?
Yeah. Well, hold on. Let me check on Facebook. Let me search
Okay.
my. Are you? Do you mind if it?
No, I don't mind at all, because actually not long ago I was like, oh, I want to share that video, and then I think I was just like having like a weird.
Yeah.
I had like a little raspy on my voice, which of course is perfectly appropriate for a song like that. But I think I was just having one of those weird singer days where I was like, don't post that. And
Well, I mean,
that was a
Farah,
long time ago, so.
it's kind of shameful. It's such an easy song to sing. I mean,
It is. I do want to just say for like 2 seconds, like preceding whatever performance you may or may not find of you and I doing this song, that like Thom Yorke's voice is like fucking sick. Like that he sings, he's really, truly, truly up there for me, and like one of that like greatest rock and roll singers. Like he really, really sings. And like he doesn't always give it to you. Like he'll give those floaty things every once in a while, but then sometimes like on that song, it's like the roof opens, you know. So good.
Before the stream started, I was playing the 20-year anniversary concert of this at the Hammerstein Ballroom in 2017. He looks and sounds exactly the same.
Wow.
And he's playing the guitar throughout all of this, and he's doing his shaking his head thing, his bobblehead thing.
Wow.
Kate says, this particular song reminds me of music that came out of Great Britain that experimented with those haunting sounds. Yeah. I mean, they were a British band, Brian Eno.
Brian Eno, this has a very Eno-y kind of.
It does, right?
That computery.
Yeah, and it's got its weirdness for sure, but it's the first song on this album that feels like it feels like it's in the realm of like a singer songwriter a song. I mean, I feel like it's very strummy, and it's and the changes are the changes feel like regular changes to me. It's probably there are some weird things. I think there's some weird like
in the break.
The bridge.
Yeah, the break.
The spineless laugh part.
And there's like, and I think there's weird things, but it's it feels most like a song that Tom or whoever sat down and wrote, and then the guys came. I mean, I don't even know how you construct a song like Paranoid Android, and it's probably Johnny doing a lot of stuff, and who knows.
Yeah. So this song and Lucky were the ones they wrote before they sequestered themselves in a giant castle or mansion to actually write and record the album together. So Lucky they wrote in '95. And for some like benefit album or something, and then this one they wrote for for Romeo and Juliet in '96. So you can sort of course they fit on the album, but maybe that accounts for the
that separateness. Yeah.
All right, so this is the song that has the amazing sort of time signature collision in the intro, and actually throughout with the guitar part. It's like in 10 or something. I'm not even going to try.
I'm gonna grab my plug from my computer.
Yeah, do it. You want your computer to be okay. Richard Scarry book, like busy day, busy people.
Yeah.
Until that line.
Until I'm here.
This is the most sympathetic song so far. It might be the most sympathetic song on the album. Can't resist. Crushed like a bug in the ground. goes with the bug metaphor.
Go hanging out with the bug. Yeah.
Don't get sentimental. Oh, so don't get
Interesting.
sentimental. It always. I never heard that there was two
No.
syllables packed in there, and so it's like I said, this is the most sympathetic song on the album because the first few lines are like, you know, transport, motorways, and tram lines, taking off and starting up and stopping, taking off and landing. The emptiness of disappointed people. Like it's kind of like an elegy or a sympathetic portrait. But then like to undercut that by the middle of the second verse, don't get sentimental. It always ends up drivel.
There's
What's
There's
that?
like some coping with toxic masculinity, big time, I think, in this album, right?
Interesting. Say more.
I think there's like these are sensitive men who wrote this music, right?
Oh yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
this like
As opposed to
processing.
sorry to do a toxic masculine thing.
That's okay, just mansplain it, go.
And man interrupt. No, I'm not going to mansplain. Just I want a man add on. Yes, man.
Augment.
Augment. As opposed to the performative sensitivity of many of their peers, like Oasis.
Yeah.
That's faux sensitivity, right?
Yeah, I mean, these
But
are like
toxic.
authentically, like, you know, he's even talked about, like, Thom Yorke has talked about his, like, he's funny looking and all this stuff. These are men that are like, you know, they're sensitive men. They're, you know, they're kind of carrying maybe like the damage and the trauma of weakness and into a world where there's an expectation of like, you know, virility of a certain brand and that like that all of the death and destruction, the focus on, you know, that I think like in like exit music, like the we hope that you choke, it's this sort of fuck you, you know, whoever it is that makes it beyond this point. We're going out the way that we want to go out and the rest of you can suck it. And like that same thing a little bit in like definitely
very
President
Thatcher.
Yeah.
What? There's no such thing as society, you know, Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah, I feel like trying to like put on the costume of like manhood or maybe even like the and I'm putting manhood in like big quotes, you know, like the costume of being a sort of a top dog when you know that you're not. You know?
Absolutely.
It's I mean, it's interesting you say that also because they are. I mean, it's like if you think about, you know, Kurt Cobain, a lot of the grunge guys were really beautiful, like, you know, and then they tried to look, but they were like, you know, they were just
beautiful,
really
people.
like teen idol looking guys that just happened to have this other kind of thing going on, and they were rebelling against that. But these, I mean, but you know, and these guys are all really cool looking, but they're like, but you know, but growing up and, you know, going to middle school in England looking like that probably wasn't great. So you know, having the
I remember once a long time ago in Spin magazine, they did a thing where they all the guys from this band from Radiohead. I wonder if we could find it somewhere where they fixed all of their features that they don't like. So like they fixed their teeth and like Thom Yorke fixed his eye in the photo. Like it was really weird because they all looked wrong, you know?
Right.
But
hold on. I've got it. I'll play it after this. I'll play it after the song.
Okay.
But well, speaking of beautiful grunge artists, one of my next Monday lyrical live streams will be Bad Motorfinger by Soundgarden. And I want to talk about Chris Cornell more generally
because I think
oh my God, the most beautiful, the best singer of the bunch
ever.
Right.
My favorite songwriting. I mean, one of the greatest singers of all time. Incredible songwriter, and I feel like because of Black Hole Sun, he gets lumped in with kind of just big
Eddie
dumb
Vedder
anthems. Like he's such a good lyricist. And he has his own style. So I'm going to be dealing with him. Anyway.
Cool.
Let's go back to the bug growing
Subscribe.
Wings. Subscribe. That's a nice little illusion of hysterical and let down.
Rhyme.
True rhyme. plays guitar like this? Just exquisite. And now they start going. Now there's some like almost triplets or quintuplets overdubbed.
Oh yeah.
And that beautiful bass. Called on a synthesizer. What's it called? When you have like a kind of a loop.
I don't know.
The arpeggiator.
Yeah,
Arpeggiator.
Yeah, that's right. Sequencer. So Kate, that's funny that you heard me say that there's an oasis of sensitivity. There is. That's beautiful. I wish I'd said that. I was talking about there was another British band, Oasis, at the time, and they were very mopey. They were like it was Beatles derivative. I never thought they were great. They had huge pop hits though. Much more mainstream than this band. So that's what I was talking about. But this album is an oasis of sensitivity. Here comes that arpeggiator again. Yeah, so you just plug in like 5 or 6 notes and it randomizes them.
Huh.
I don't think that's someone literally playing each.
No,
All
I don't
right,
think so.
let me stop sharing this screen and show you the spin thing that
Oh.
Farah talked about. This is really great.
It was very vivid. I remember it.
It's creepy.
See?
Now this is something they. Oh, he said. Oh, look.
He
so they
said, "This is
that
what
they
I want
don't
you to do to my picture." To my picture.
So that's better than. It's a little better than like
no,
that,
they didn't
than
do
just
it.
doing it. Right.
No,
Or just
it
saying,
was
oh,
like them
like,
saying,
right.
"Fix me,"
So
you know.
take the red out of my face, make my eyes the same, with a healthy glow,
glow.
spotless, heroic, smaller ears, Hollywood cheekbones.
Yeah. He looks so stupid with his right eye, with the eyes. Right. I love his eyes. Yeah.
Proper facial hair, a presidential smile, 2 inches shorter. Shorter arms,
arms.
better something.
Who knows?
Remove swelling from ungrown hair on
He looks much
jaw.
worse. Yeah.
Lose the bags. Cheekbones now. Lose London pallor, please.
Yeah.
And here's the drummer. Various blemishes and splotches inflicted by my son, and scratch on forehead, scratch on cheek, scratch on a slightly bulbous nose, asymmetrical jawline, sunglasses, indent, imprint on bridge of nose, full head of hair.
Oh yeah.
To remind me why I shaved it off in the first place. And is this Johnny?
Yes, Johnny.
Blonde, blue eyes, healthy, works out, wax work, and longer fingers. That's brilliant.
Yes. So weird.
Yeah. What's the next?
Next is, I want to say "Fit or Happier" is
I think
next.
it's Fit or
No,
Happier
it's
than-
Karma Police,
Oh, Karma Police then
Police.
Fit or Happy. Okay, yeah.
which
Yeah.
Karma Police, which has my favorite lyric,
Yeah.
like ever.
There's one of mine too. I wonder if it's the same one.
Is it the second? Is it the second verse? The second A?
No.
No. Okay.
The Hitler hairdo?
Hitler hair.
No,
It's my favorite.
That's great. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's a great one. I think about Few for a minute there. I lost myself. I think about that almost every day.
All the time,
I
right?
think about it. So that's my
Yes.
Now, little trivia here. I mentioned the Beatles. what Beatles chord progression is explicitly homaged in this song?
It's a little. Is it Why My Guitar Gently Weeps or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
You'll hear.
I mean, the song. It always reminded. I mean, the way that the arrangement with the piano and the guitar. This is not what you're asking, but the arrangement with the piano and the guitar always reminded me of the way the piano comes in. Always reminded me of A Day in the Life.
Farrah, don't think of the main chord progression. It's
in the middle somewhere. I know exactly where you're talking about it, and it has always bugged me, and I've always gone, "What is that?"
All right, so we'll pause when we get there.
Okay, you're gonna make me feel really good because it's one of those things that for 20 years I've been like, "What is that?"
You're welcome in advance. I'd like to do a version of the song called Comma Police, and I'd like to join that force. Because a lot of people are committing comma misdemeanors, comma crimes. They're comma chameleons. Oh, okay, Kate, I got it. I'll be right back. Right here.
Oh, this is the. Oh, yeah.
What is it?
Sexy Sadie.
Oh, yeah.
Sexy Sadie.
AKA Maharishi.
Oh my God! Thank you. Oh, so neat that is. Thank you.
Yeah. Comma. You'll never not hear comma police.
Thanks, Daniel.
This is like the only pop song on the album.
But the lyrics are.
No, they're not.
If you can block the lyrics out, you can like kind of.
You can imagine this. You can imagine this part on the bends.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
This is what you get when you mess with love.
The Karma Police, Steven. The Karma Police are coming for you, man. Don't mess with them.
But Matt, to your point, this merger musical line and lyric is really perfect.
Yeah, it's so. Yeah, I think about it all the time.
I mean, it's
In a
nothing
totally
without that
different key.
melody, right? It's like
Yeah, right.
falling.
The way they wrote an ellipsis here is incredible. My timing was just off on that joke. Another really cool outro with a machine-like. can't not hear
that weird that whatever that's the chord, the piano that comes in.
I never heard that before.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Oh,
It's like almost
little
feels
thing.
like from another. Yeah.
I somehow never heard that. So the title and lyrics to Karma Police originate from an in-joke during the Bends tour. Johnny Greenwood said, whenever someone was behaving in a particularly shitty way, we'd say, the Karma Police will catch up with him sooner or later. And do you know karma, like the way we use it, it's a total misappropriation of the concept.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like karma is not like demerits and credits at the end. That's such a Christian reading of like, or even Jewish, like the Book of Life, right? Yom Kippur.
Yeah.
Karma is so much. It's more like the Greek fates, you know, like the longer arc of what you're here to work through in a sense.
That's the Buddhist interpretation, what you're describing. That's how the Buddha reframed. I learned this in yoga school. I learned a couple things in yoga school. So Buddhists reframed the concept of karma, which is that you have a life path and that you have a story sort of, that I'm really paraphrasing Buddhists in the world, please forgive me, but this was my understanding of it, was that the Buddha reframed it to say that it isn't a system of demerits. Like where the Hindu tradition sort of comes from is sort of like, oh, you kicked that kid and now you're going to be a bug in your next life. Like there is a
so
system.
it really was.
And so it used to be a little bit more like that, or in some framings of karma it is. And then as far as I understand it, the Buddha reframed it to sort of say, we have a path that we have to work through or not work through in this life. So you have an opportunity to change your karma if you like.
And it has
or
consequences. Not. It does have consequences. But everything does. It's not.
Yeah,
like,
but it isn't. The way that we tend to use karma in the West is like John Lennon's instant karma is more like that, right? Like, you did this thing, and now in this life, something's gonna come back and like even it out for you. So that's how we tend to think of it, which is very American.
It is interesting. There's like at least 3 really, really good songs that I can think of just off that with karma that are with karma in the title, and Karma Chameleon, Instant Karma Police. It's for all of the, for all of the philosophical ideas that are on the that could be on the radio. It's an interesting. It's
it's true. There's not a lot of songs about like I don't know. Like,
all Brits, right? All Brits like writing about karma. They like putting karma in a pop song. It also I was just thinking, you guys mentioned it's like probably the poppiest song on the album, and it just speaks. I mean, it just speaks to my bland pop song sensibility. That I just love it so much. It's probably. I mean, it's the song I come back to the most. I
think it's a great tune.
It is a great tune.
Like, for as much as I dig the progressions in Paranoid Android, I'm probably rocking to this one more frequently in the past.
It's telling that they buried it right at the center of the album, and then they follow it up with this,
exactly.
Fitter, happier, more productive.
I love the melody.
Comfortable, not drinking too much. Regular exercise at the gym, 3 days a week. Getting on better with your associate employee contemporaries. At ease. Eating well, no more microwave dinners and saturated fats. A patient better driver,
never heard before.
A safer car, baby smiling in backseat. Sleeping well, no bad dreams, no paranoia. Careful to all animals, never washing spiders down a plug hole. Keep in contact with old friends. Enjoy a drink now and then. Will frequently check credit at Moral, Bank, Hole in Wall. Favors for favors. Fond but not in love. Charity standing orders. On Sundays reading Road Supermarket. No killing moths or putting boiling water on the ants. Car wash. Also on Sundays. No longer afraid of the dark or midday shadows, nothing so ridiculously teenage and desperate, nothing so childish.
The melody gets sad here, the piano gets sad. I love it. I love that, like, as
concerned but powerless.
It all starts to tank.
You notice that? Concerned and powerless. An empowered and informed member of society. Pragmatism, not idealism.
Yeah.
This is neoliberalism in a nutshell.
Yeah. With this,
you got
A robot telling you
robot.
about neoliberalism.
Right. Concerned but powerless, but empowered.
Yeah.
And empowerment
and informed.
is empowerment and informed, right? So democracy dies in darkness, right? The Washington Post, like this idea of like personal empowerment as opposed to having power. That's I never caught that until now, and this is 1997. This is Clinton.
Pragmatism, not idealism. Will not cry in public. Less chance of illness. Tires that grip in the wet. Shot of baby strapped in backseat. A good memory. Still cries at a good film. Still kisses with saliva. No longer empty and frantic. Like a cat. Tied to a stick. That's driven into frozen winter shit. The ability to laugh at weakness. Calm. Fitter. Healthier and more productive. A pig in a cage on antibiotics.
That's like
fucking dark as shit,
Yeah,
man.
A+ thesis project.
it's a combination of like a skit on a rap album with a robot like Jack Kerouac reciting over Steve Allen playing piano on one it's like it's such a weird thing to put, even at the time, even though we sort of were getting into what was going on here, to hear this for the first time, you're like,
what is that?
Yeah,
yeah, and also because you're not, it really does, it takes a turn so fast. They cleverly, how long is this track? 1:57, right? So they cleverly did not overstay their welcome. If they had overstayed their welcome and had this gone on too long, it becomes number 9 on the White Album, and you skip it, right? But they don't. And by the time you're like, I don't know if I want to listen to the robot voice anymore, it starts saying all kinds of stuff that you're like, what was that? And then they get out on a pig locked in a cage on antibiotics. You're like, was that the end? Like, they really keep you until the last second.
And it's such a and it just that struck my teen angst.
Oh God,
teen poetry, writing self that I was, that's great. I was like, oh yeah, I hear you, man. I get it.
Yes.
I get that.
Even though he says nothing so teenage and desperate. Here's a comment on it. Someone said, this is from some cultural critic. The lyrics are a stream of received imagery, scraps of media information. I'm going to read it like the computer. Scraps of media information, interspersed with lifestyle ad slogans and private prayers for a healthier existence. It is the hum of a world buzzing with words. One of the messages seeming to be that we live in such a synthetic universe, we have grown unable to detect reality from artifice. By now it's a cliche.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's.
I got to make my daughter dinner. So I'm going to take off. But you guys, thank you. It's been amazing, lovely, and I look forward to tuning into the rest. And thanks, Daniel, and lovely to meet you, Farrah.
Nice to meet you,
Matt.
Too,
thank you so much. It's been great having you, man. Let's
My
do this
pleasure.
again.
Please, yeah.
Okay.
And you got my little note.
I got your little note. Do you want to stay around for the next song?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. I love this song.
That's a fantastic song. It rocks very hard.
Very hard.
Reminds me a bit of the New York pre-punk band Television.
Very television.
With that kind of very almost math rocky like the guitarist is doing it, like he's listening to the music, but he's going off on his own like cadenza, like it's all just
and it's the mix is very guitar forward too, which is very like that band.
Yeah. And this is the most political song on the album. I will stop at nothing, say the right things when electioneering, and I trust I can rely on you.
I love that over the phrase.
Yeah. It's like a minor key Sesame Street. Like, listen to the guitar. Voodoo economics. Is he a tone?
Sounds like that. Something like that.
Cattle Prods and the IMF.
This was Thatcher era, yeah? Or she was out already? She was still in.
She was already out. Well, Tony Blair came in by the time the Iraq War came, so that was...
That was about now.
Yeah, let me look it up.
97?
Yeah, it was, I think, John Major and then Tony Blair took over in 97. So, the height of neoliberal.
Yeah.
Proselyte. He's an evangelist for neoliberalism. Still is. And that sounds like Neil Young,
Yeah,
doesn't it? It's got a very Neil Young.
a little bit.
And this sounds like George Harrison.
Yeah, it's actually very Ringo-y drum on this. It's that kind of like lots of hat, but very forward.
Ringo is the most underrated drummer of all time. It's crazy to say it, but he is.
It is, because I think people think he was not the most exciting person in that band.
That band is not half the band they are without him.
Without, they're not the Beatles without him.
They're not half the men they used to be.
Oh.
They can't all be zingers, Farrah.
It's all right.
All right,
I got a
that's
boogie. I would
right.
love. I'm very happy sitting and listening to this record and talking. This
fun,
makes me
right?
think of. Reminds me of high school.
It reminds you of high school?
Reminds me of high school. We were just sitting, but we didn't have like the internet. Like I realized. I remember something shifting, like doing regional jobs and stuff. When everyone had YouTube, even on their computer, and you would all hang out, and at a certain hour, everyone would type something into YouTube, and you'd all watch it on YouTube, and you'd laugh about that. But before that, we used to like listen to a record. We would talk about that.
Yeah, we would go driving
Or play
from
a board
Vancouver. So we would go driving in my friend Ross's father's Honda Accord. I was the only one among my friends who didn't have a driver's license until I was 20. So I was always a passenger. And we'd be competing for whose mixtape we'd be listening to. Yeah. And it would be like the mixtape that I made for Ross, or that Ross made for Roxanne, or that Roxanne made for Jeremy. Like, it was like, and there was all the emotional politics of that, But we would drive from Vancouver down to Bellingham, Washington. We'd cross at the border. Uh-huh. And at the border, they'd say, "How many of you?" And there's 4 of us. "Where are you going?" "We're going to Bellingham." What are you doing in Bellingham?" "We're going to go buy some fruit punch Jolly Ranchers." Like there was an AM PM. No, sorry, it was actually Blaine. It was just over the border.
Uh-huh.
And we called this place Mecca because they had all kinds of candies that we weren't our drug was sugar. Like we weren't big drinkers or anything at that time,
Amazing.
So one of the time the border guard said, "You drove all the way down here from Vancouver just to get some candy?" And he had that accent, which made no sense because he wasn't from Texas, but he was trying to live up to the stereotype, I guess. Well, Farrah, thanks for joining me. It's been so much fun to see you again.
So much fun. Thank you. Yeah, enjoy. Everyone else, subscribe to Lyrics to Go and listen to the rest of this record, which is really good.
It is. Kate, you know my cousin Ross?
What?
No, that is my cousin, but I wasn't talking about Ross. Moster is my mom's maiden name, and Ross is her first cousin. That is a small world. But my friend Ross Fleming. is the one.
All right. Good night, Daniel.
Sorry. Bye, Farah.
Bye.
Say hi to Dan for me. All right. Now it's just us, folks. How do you know Ross? Kate? So what's next? I think it's No Surprises. Oh, no, it's Climbing Up the Walls. All right, we got 4 songs left. Let's do it. Let's boogie. I don't actually know the lyrics to this song. Oh, wow. So your husband grew up in LA. That's a small world. Ross lives in Vancouver now.
I am the key to the lock in your house. Keeps your toys in the basement.
The key to the lock in your house that keeps the toys in your basement.
And if you get to far inside,
Oh, of course, then that's how you know him, yeah.
see my reflection. I am a face as she sleeps tonight.
So what's this song all about?
I am the black in the eyes. Do not cry out at the loud. You know we're friends till we die. And either way you turn, I'll be there. Open up your sky.
Open up your skull, I'll be there.
I'll be there, climbing up the wall.
Kate, thank you so much. Where are you going to DM me? On Patreon? That would be amazing.
It's always best when the light is on. It's always better on the outside. 15 blows to the back of your head. 15 blows to your mind. So like a kid, stop saying tonight.
Oh, wow, listen to this. For the lyrics, Yorke drew from his time as an orderly in a mental hospital during the care and the community policy, sorry folks, of deinstitutionalizing mental health patients and a New York Times article about serial killers. Very small. Thom Yorke said, "This is about the unspeakable, literally skull crushing. I used to work in a mental hospital, and we all just knew what was going to happen, so they were deinstitutionalizing mental health patients. And it's one of the scariest things to happen in this country because a lot of them weren't just harmless. It was hailing violently when we reported this. It seemed to add to the mood." Someone described that ending as Tom's voice dissolving into a fearful, blood-clotted scream as Johnny whips the sound of a million dying elephants into a crescendo. I love it. No Surprises is next. This is really a lovely song, but very sad too. And very similar to a lot of the songs in the album, like describing a completely alienated, lonely, but safe existence. You get that from the title, No Surprises. There's like a numbness to risk and surprise and life, really. Internal rhyme, landfill, job that slowly kills you, a heart that's full up like a landfill, a job that slowly kills you, bruises that won't heal. Wow.
You look so tired, happy, bring down the government. They don't speak for
Tom's register. It's high in mine. Perfect middle class existence. This is my final fit. My final bellyache. I wonder what that's all about. My final fit, my final bellyache. It's almost like, all right, I'm going to get all my emotions out of my system for the last time. I'm going to feel some stuff. I'm going to express myself. And after that, no alarms and no surprises, please. Every single member of this band is just a master musician. Not a wrong note. Not a wasted little musical break. Such a pretty house. Such a pretty garden. What does that sound like? It's a song that it's nice to see the lyrics because those background vocals often have such nice subtext that you don't even hear in the main ones, like in Paranoid Android. So let me out of here, even as he's saying no alarms, no surprises. Just absolutely gorgeous. All right, second last song is Lucky, and this is the one that they wrote a few years before the album came out. Hey, why don't we look at it with the Spanish subtitles, since I'm in Mexico. I can practice my Spanish. No, this is not the album version. Fuck off. Some more of this grandiose almost protesting too much kind of optimism.
I feel my love could change.
Calling back to the opening song, Airbag.
Kill me, sir.
Yeah, Kate,
Kill me again.
gotta recommend it. It's truly one of the great albums. And I'm excited to do more great albums on this. I think I've hit upon a pretty cool idea. Because it's easy to find friends to hang out and listen to great albums. Just talk about them. Right? I also recommend their next album, Kate, Kid A, once you get used to this one, and their previous album, The Bends. And you'll hear such an interesting evolution of a band over the course of 3 albums, over the course of 4 years. Or 5 years, I guess. Some more like rescue, like the airbag saved his life, pull me out of the air crash, pull me out of the lake. You can hear Pink Floyd influence in this song, I think. This is very Pink Floyd. But I love how the influences just kind of pop up for a second and they fade. They just show themselves briefly. The head of state has called for me by name. It's going to be I don't have time for him. It's like a Jay-Z lyric about Obama calling him, or Kanye, one of those grandiose rappers. I love that. It's going to be a glorious day. I feel my luck could change. His luck hasn't changed yet, but he's already convinced it's not just going to be a good day, but a glorious day. This self-delusion all throughout this album. Little instrumental break. I feel like this is a demo version. It's slightly different. It's like a little slower than the album version, but it's pretty much the same. What does this sound like? Someone ripped this off. I don't think they ripped it off. Great song. And then the album ends with a very atmospheric, moody, another dramatic song, a little bit like exit music, and lyrically similar to Homesick Alien, Subterranean Homesick Alien. You can get it from the title, The Tourist. What is a tourist? It's someone who's just visiting, who doesn't live here, who is a foreigner, who is kind of just observing, and then they can leave. And that's a feeling that many of the characters on this album seem to have. So we'll play this, and that will be the end of the album. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And you check out my Patreon, you can see the link below. Get a bunch more great content, custom playlists, bonus episodes. I did an episode with my dad, Gabor Mate, 2 parts. The first part is free to everybody. The second part is only on Patreon. So stuff like that. Nice and slow.
It barks at no one else but me. Like it's
All right, I'm going to be the apostrophe police here. It's got to be an apostrophe in that it's. Not a possessive pronoun, it's a contraction. Come on.
I guess it's seen the sparks of flowing. No one else.
So it barks at no one else but me. So it's like this dog or whatever it is can tell that he's not from around here. Should be 2 separate words. Idiot, slow down. Another case of repeating 2-syllable thing. We had uptight earlier. Subterranean.
Sometimes I get overcharged.
Final fit, the final bellyache, getting overcharged. I don't think he means financially. It's almost like an alien who's having a hard time keeping his cool. Speaking of which, I'm going to play a Kids in the Hall skit after this.
Ask me where the hell I'm going at 1,000 feet per second.
Yeah, you could almost call this song over conspicuous alien or something. He's drawing too much attention to himself. Feels like it's sped up, but I think it's just because of the now and the heaviness. It's like the end of I Want You, She's So Heavy by the Beatles. Just a repetition of a few chords, but of course he sings here. Almost like a meditation bell, right? Wow. Well, there you have it, folks. That is OK Computer by Radiohead. I hope you had fun. I had a blast listening to this album again. I discovered things I hadn't heard before. There's so many lyrics that because he's got such a marble mouth, you can miss them unless you're reading along. So yeah, it was great to have you all with me, us. Thanks again to Matt Schatz and Farah Alvin, joining me from the two different coasts of the United States. Wonderful friends, both songwriters. And yeah, we'll do this again with a different song, a different album. And Patreon subscribers, send me a DM and make requests of albums we can do in the future, particularly albums where you think the lyrics of every song benefit from a deep dive that people might overlook, or just great lyrical albums. I'd be happy to do it. But it can't be Bob Dylan because we'll get kicked off. Just let me, on the lighter side, I'm going to play you a Kids in the Hall skit about a paranoid alien, at least. And we'll close with this.
Boy, do I need
On
this.
Canada Day week.
Today's just been nuts.
Oh, tell me about
Cynthia,
it.
nice to hear from
Yeah,
you.
but
You're
never
welcome.
seems to
Thank
get
you.
to
Hope
you.
to see you again.
Oh?
Hope you're
Yeah, you
subscribing.
always seem so together.
Let's start again.
Well, it's like the way you tie your bow tie. Yeah, but it never seems to get to you.
Oh?
Yeah, you always seem so together. Well, it's like the way you tie your bow tie.
Really? What do you mean?
It's so perfect. I mean, how do you get it like that?
Well, the same way anyone else does, I suppose.
Yeah, I could never do it. Whenever I do it, it's always a little lopsided, you know?
Well, it's not like I have any special powers or anything.
Oh. Well, maybe I'm just in awe of how well groomed you are.
Yeah, well, sure, but I mean, it hardly means like I'm a member of some super intelligent race with extremely advanced personal hygiene, does it? No, I'm just a perfectly normal mortal human being like anyone else here in the office, right?
No one said you were an alien.
What, alien? Oh, so you know, huh? All right. Hello, Control. Control, this is Delphar 7. My mission is in jeopardy. Destroy the planet. Repeat, destroy the planet.
Betty, could you hold all calls, please? Thanks. Well, Delphar 7. Would you like some space coffee? Some space tea, perhaps?
A friend of mine and I
Sugar,
memorized
but
this
Betty
skit, and
can
we
hop
did
in
it
the
at a
shuttle,
high
get
school
us to the
talent show.
space
We
station.
just
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Kids in the Hall nuts. They're
How was planet Earth?
Fine.
So, is there something you'd like to tell me? Something you'd like to get off your chest? Something you've done recently?
No, I can't think of anything, no.
No, you can't. Have you read my memo?
Well, actually, I just got back. I really haven't had the opportunity.
Actually, there is a little something, and I don't even know why I'm bothering to bring it up. It's really small, actually. Which one? Yes, this is it. Word is, you destroyed planet Earth. And apparently, this is the 12th one this month, and well, they're a little worried upstairs, you know, those bigwigs. They're wondering if you're cut out for this particular surveillance job, and that, when I hired you, I just stressed that this was a surveillance job and not a planet-destroying job. Was it my fault? Was it me? Did I not make it clear? Was
Have
it me?
there been complaints about my work? Is that it?
No, there haven't been any complaints, no. Anyone who might have complained has been blown up. You see the problem?
Well, I'm not here to win any popularity contests.
Oh, you haven't? You haven't? Oh, no, far from it. Yes. As a matter of fact, I believe, yes, you are dead last on my popularity list. I think it's the planet destroying. It isn't going over very, very well with the people upstairs. But I want you to know, if you have any personal problems, you could talk to me. You could always
What are you getting
talk.
at? What do you mean personal problems? I mean, what are you saying? You think I'm hiding something? Because I'm not
No.
hiding anything
Oh,
from you. I
I
mean,
know.
I wouldn't
I
hide things
know.
from you.
I
I mean, I don't
know.
know whether you think I'm like, what, a double agent for another planet, but you know.
Double agent.
So you know.
I haven't got a clue. Haven't got a clue. Haven't got a clue.
Control, this is Delphar 7. Destroy planet.
Oh, shit!
So a couple of things before I say goodbye. Number one, they are currently in Toronto recording a new, mini season for CBC. I think like 6 or 7 episodes. I cannot wait. Those 5, I had a crush on every single one of those 5 guys. I'm not gay, but I had a serious almost romantic crush on every one of them, and I had a different favorite every week because they were just so funny, and the way they worked together as a troupe, best comedy troupe ever, I think. And number two, last year for my birthday, my friend Jeremy, who I mentioned earlier, got me the best gift of all time. You might have heard of Cameo, where celebrities will record a little personalized message for you, and you throw them a bit of money. And Kevin McDonald, the high-voiced guy there who played his boss, he recorded like a 3-minute birthday greeting to me, and very, very funny. I couldn't believe it. So that's it. Anyway, that was the Paranoid Alien sketch. This has been a Lyrics to Go live stream with OK Computer. Thank you for watching. I'm going to play the title card to play us out, which I forgot to play at the beginning. Thanks, everybody. Please subscribe. Canada Day, I've got 2 parts of a top 13 CanCon hits of the 1980s list. So CanCon is Canadian content. So these are kind of obscure Canadian songs I listened to as a kid on the radio. Amazing stuff. It's going to be a great episode. And then Sunday is 4th of July. I'm going to do a free speech lyrics episode. So be sure to tune in for that. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you enjoyed this, the replay will be available on the channel. You can share it. You can share any video. The more you do that, I'm at, I think, 657 subscribers now. I'd love to get up closer to 1,000, by, let's say, end of the summer. So every share helps. Every like, every comment helps. So that's it. Let's see if there's any last comments. Love Kids in the Hall. Yeah, Cynthia, aren't they the best? All right. I got to be out. I got to go have some pollo feliz, some Mexican rotisserie chicken that I bought earlier in the day. All right. Bye, everyone.
Lyrics to go.